Hi, it's Lance Downing from Canadian Sports Risk Management, and I'm here today with Amey Doyle. And we're at Evolution Ice, so please excuse the banging of pucks because there's goalie drills going on while we're doing the interview, of course. Amey, obviously your sport is hockey. Tell me a little bit about your playing and coaching experiences.
I coach at McGill University. I've been the assistant coach at McGill for the last 10 or 11 years.
Okay.
Previous to my coaching at McGill, I was a player at McGill. I was a goaltender for the Martlets from 97 to 2002, and then started coaching kind of right after I graduated from my undergrad. So I've been heavily involved in coaching for the last 15 years, and the main area would have been with McGill.
Okay. And you're currently at McGill?
Currently at McGill as a goaltender coach.
As a goaltender coach? Okay. When you were growing up, tell us a bit about your experiences of playing hockey when you were growing up as a girl.
Yeah, well, I think my experience is not very unique compared to a lot of girls that are playing now. They get a lot more opportunity. When I was growing up, girls hockey was just starting, and so a lot of people that are 30 to 35 in my kind of age category really were the first group of girls to start playing organized girls hockey. Before that, people were.
Did you play with the boys before?
No, I didn't play.
Oh no, not at all.
I played ringette.
Okay.
I'm from a small town in Ontario, and I played ringette in Smith Falls, Ontario.
Okay.
And so I played ringette for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then basically what happened in our town was that the Ringette Association just turned over and became the Hockey Association.
Okay.
So everybody that was playing ringette for the most part decided that they were going to play hockey in the fall season. So I started playing hockey. I was older than most that start now.
Okay.
I was first year Pee Wee, which was my first year playing hockey, and I played defenseman. I was a defenseman for my first year, and then I moved into being a goaltender in my second year, and I never looked back at it.
That's cool. Why do you coach kids?
Oh, I love being on the ice with the kids. They're a lot of fun. I just got off the ice, and you see their smile.
No, you pivot at the blue line. Number one, go. Have both blue lines?
You talk to parents afterwards, and they can't believe the improvement that they've seen just in a short period of time. And the kids really notice it, and they get excited about it. And, you get to experience times where it's the first time that they've been able to lift the puck off the ice, or the first time they've been able to do a wrist shot and hit the crossbar, and those kind of milestones that they are able to achieve, and you're able to experience it. It's really something very rewarding, and I enjoy being on the ice with them.
Yeah, coaching myself, that's one of the things that when a kid does something, gets over a hump or something, you can see it in their face. And
they can't believe that they did it. They do it again, and then it becomes automatic, and they gain those skills. So it's a lot of fun.
It feeds your soul.
Exactly.
When you push your athletes in certain circumstances, how do you make a decision? Let's say, for example, if there is an injury, how do you make a decision to remove a player from play?
I think you have to take a look at the severity of the injury and what exactly happened at the beginning.
Right.
What was it that caused the injury, and how serious did it look? I think that's number one.
Okay.
Number two, you have to really rely on what they say. And I think that there's symptoms, and you need to ask questions, and you need to, there's always the benchmark questions, do you have a headache, what's your name, and those kinds of things if it's a hit that we're talking about. And I think that you have to have the benchmark questions, and you have to really rely on.
spot check.
Yeah, you have to rely on what they say, and you know you have to. I think at the beginning of the year, I think it's important to make the athlete understand that it's for their safety, and that maybe not exactly telling the truth, but maybe hiding some of their effects or symptoms. I think
You see a lot of that
is
when you're
dangerous.
going to play hockey, the girls are lying about their symptoms.
I'm not sure that I've been involved with a lot of it. I'm sure that it happens. Whether or not I've been involved with it, I can't say.
No, but you think
but
maybe...
I'm sure it happens.
Yeah.
I'm sure it happens. I mean, at
You think
the
the
university
stats are
level.
50% or...
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what the stats would be.
Okay.
But I just, the athletes at the university level and, the elite level, they're so competitive. And they want to compete. And they want to do whatever it takes to win, whatever it takes to be able to be involved in the success of the group.
Right.
And so, there's sometimes where they may not understand the severity of something, and if they're just thinking about being involved in, doing what they need to do, then, it's sometimes they forget the importance of being realistic with what their injury might be.
Have you ever had a concussion yourself? Never. Wow, you're lucky. That's a good thing.
I should not.
You should probably knock on wood, that's for sure. You and I have spoken a bit about what Canadian Sports Risk Management and our foundation are trying to do. The fact that we want to baseline players at the beginning of the year and then test them, retest them if there's any other incidences. Do you think that's a good idea for kids playing hockey?
Absolutely. I think baseline tests are really what it's all about. If you don't have the baseline test, I think it's very hard to really manage and to be able to diagnose what the severity of the injury might be.
Right.
Everybody is different, and so I've seen very different baseline tests among our athletes at McGill and what they can do on a regular day and what they can do when they've been hit. And, it's different for everybody. And so you can't, I think generalizing those symptoms and generalizing, who's able to remember what.
Okay.
I think that's generalizing and it may not, touch upon the severity of it.
So like a 24-hour period or 7-day period, it has no relevance because everybody's different.
Everybody's different.
So I think you have to manage it on an individual basis. Have concussions outside of their sport.
Right, yes.
Which we've seen a lot of. Like my own son, he got his first concussion was with a soccer ball, and then he was on the ice, 3 times a week. So we're actually testing a new baseline system for it's a pediatric version of the impact testing system, and it's for ages 5 to 7 and 8 and 9.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, the latest SCAT-3 test had a pediatric version. I don't know if you probably know the SCAT system.
Yes.
Well, they just came out with a SCAT-3, and now they have a SCAT-3 pediatric for kids.
Okay.
So they've tailored the questions to be a little bit easier for kids to answer. So it's a great initiative, and obviously the more education we can get out there about concussions, obviously the better. The only difference that we see is that with a testing system that's computerized, we're able to get definitive differences in terms of seconds, like tenths of seconds, and so on. And you're not relying on somebody with a stopwatch, somebody to write it down. The other thing, of course, is that we actually use the information. So if you do a SCAT-3 and then you do one after, what do you do with that information? So that's the disconnect that seems to be with the medical system that we have. And so that's why the computerized system is so much easier, because we can actually email a doctor the file and say, here you go. Help maybe not help with the diagnosis, because sometimes the diagnosis is pretty obvious. Like one athlete said, so what happened when you got your concussion? He said, well, when I got to the hospital I threw up. So I said, well, that was a giveaway.
That's a pretty good symptom.
It's a pretty good symptom. All over the place. Maybe you might have a concussion. In the future, do you think that research into this area is important for hockey?
I think so. I think more and more kids are playing hockey every day, and every season we see more enrollment. And so with the numbers increasing, obviously the number of injuries is also going to increase. Obviously, we don't want injuries, but it unfortunately is a part of the game. It's a physical game. Yeah, and even if it's not a body check, if it's just a collision, that's often the time when the concussion happens because they're not necessarily ready for the impact. If they're not ready for the impact, it takes you off guard, and it sometimes causes more of a. So I think with the numbers increasing, especially in the female game, I think it's definitely something that needs to be looked at, and definitely something that would be very relevant in the future. It's a serious thing, and it's an unfortunate consequence of contact, and we want to make sure that anyone that has felt a concussion or has a symptom of a concussion, we want to make sure that they're treated properly. And I think that the more research that's done, the better knowledge we will have as coaches and as medical staff to be able to provide that athlete with the best kind of recovery and protocol to go back into the game. Because at the end of the day, that's what they want. They want to play. So being able to find a way to get them back into the game safely and following the specific steps that needs to be followed, I think is what we as coaches in the minor system are interested in.
I've seen some types of articles and discussions about having some type of system be mandatory. What do you think?
I think again, I think the time factor comes into play a lot with this type of thing. And if it's mandatory and at the beginning when something's made mandatory, at the beginning you always have issues. But then once people don't know any different, then
like wearing helmets.
Exactly. Coaches wearing helmets. It's a lot of people take up time and it's not what they were used to and it's not something that they're comfortable with. But new coaches coming in don't have a choice and they don't think twice about it. And so I think that it's the same thing. I think if you make it mandatory, then obviously you're going to get more results.
Yeah.
And you're going to get what you need in terms of the numbers.
True.
But again, I think that when you make something mandatory, there's a process that comes with it.
Exactly. It's because you're talking about baseline testing 20 kids at a time, let's say, or 15 to 20 kids at a time. So there's a big coordination factor. But I think that it's yes, there's a lot of times where there's some glitches and things like that, but just being able to get a differential score for a parent who's suffered a concussion. Especially when you talk to kids who've been out of school for 3 months and you ask the father, or the mother, maybe not the father, but the mother, what do you think? Do you think we should have this system? And she's looking at me like I got 3 heads.
Yeah, absolutely.
We always hate to use this expression, but it's a no-brainer. Yeah. Well, thanks very much for your time, Amey. I really appreciate it. And good luck with the rest of the season. Thanks very much. Good.